You are a brother who's done a lot, and I know you say you're a youth advocate, but I'm looking upon you as an elder, someone who's older in years, but also has a lot more knowledge and experience. So I'm curious to know, what is your vision for the future of our people? Let's say in another 50 to 100 years, Baba, what do you think? What do you want the world to look like for us?
Well, for one, I would love for people to understand the importance of repatriation and organizing on the continent of Africa over the next 10 years. And the reason being, I can see what's going on in the world right now is a separation, a segregation is taking place slowly but surely. And I can see Africa rising in population, in control of resources, in technology, and controlling that. And I can see it being in a position where it could be supportive to Africans all over the world, even if they don't return physically to Africa. I believe that a united African states is within our reach if we follow the model of Sheikh Anta Diop and federate. We can already see traces of that happening. Federation, a co-federation has already been established, running out the French in Burkina Faso, the Sahel states, and others are slowly coming into being. But I do think the job that Africans outside of Africa need to do is to become more conscious of the power that we have and to repatriate, if not physically, business wise, organizationally, to build factories and bring factories and control the agricultural development, control our spiritual direction. And I don't mean through Islam, Christianity, and Buddhism. I mean control our spiritual power through all the ancient ways, respecting one another. And I guess the best way of putting it is I'm going to use somebody else's terminology, a book that's out called Practicing Scientific Pan-Africanism and Gullah Sovereignty. Our brother Chief Fode has written a book called Gullah Sovereignty. Our brother Imhotep in Baltimore has written a book called Scientific Pan-Africanism. And just for sake of time, I see those things coming into practical application when people study them, implement them, and practice them. Now, what's the biggest thing that can happen in the next 2 years is our own Project 2025. To hell with theirs. They've already implemented a whole lot of theirs and going to continue. But ours, I see just manifesting by the PLM in Baltimore, Maryland, the Race First convention that had over 35 groups there. And I could see that spreading around the world in less than 3 years and catching fire, the Race First development of putting some of the things in place that I'm talking about, because it's designed to deal with 12 areas that are critical, and not about what we're doing in those areas or not doing, but what we can do, what we should be doing, so that the future in the next 10, 25 years is more in our control and more moving forward. I see that happening. But in the meantime, I also see a lot of blood running because of the apathy that exists. For an example, the oppression is taking place. Our people are still being killed all over the place, all in Haiti, even in Africa, even in North America. So I see blood running, but I do see good things coming together where we can stop that. One of those 12 groups was a group called Military and Security. We have to have one Africa, one military, one big vision, one big federated government, not countries, but states. And we have to be able to respect the power of Black women better. That way, my vision says to me that Yerugu and Babylon is going to continue to tumble and tumble. So don't be shocked when you start seeing things happen that you didn't suspect happening in the 1920, 26, 27, 28. I see things happening very fast, bro. I think we need to get quickly better organized so that the rebel that's falling don't fall on our heads. And hopefully, where the majority of African youth are in Africa and South America, they will wake up enough to give us hope, because I don't see enough of that in the United States, in the North America. I don't see enough of our youth rising here, but I do see that happening in Africa and South America. So I do think Garvey is right. Count on him to return in the Jikala Kamunga, the eye of the whirlwind. And I think a lot of people will begin to see the power of the whirlwind in the next 25 years, and a change, a reversal back to our traditional greatness will start taking place. And it won't just be the co-federated states, but it'll be the federation. I don't know whether it'll be through the works of the UNIA. I think the UNIA will be a big part of it, but I do think that we have the power of the spirit on our side. And I do think we have more than enough people being born in Africa. We just got to get control of our own destiny. So I would just say that one Africa looks good to me down the road, but we got to go through some more hoops to get there, brother. And it's going to call for work. And our ancestors are waiting and watching, children crying and dying because we don't understand the real reason why. We got the power to change this thing. Garvey said it could happen in 24 hours if we all think on the same level. Y'all got to think about that one. He said in 24 hours. I was like, 24 hours we can change. Yes, we get on the same vibratorial level, we can change the way things are. And that's my I have a positive vision for the future, brother. And
Yes,
I
sir.
know a lot of people got negative things they might want to say, but I say cast away all of that, use your blacktricity and rise, and let's kill it. All that
That's
negativity.
right. That's right. All right. Now, if you were to give, I'm going to get into some rapid fire rounds, Baba, as we get to the close. We'll go through these quick. Give one compliment about how you see today's younger activists. A compliment and one critique.
I'm pleased with the consciousness of some young Black warriors. My quick critique is I can just use people like Brother Sam P.K. Collins, for example, Ayanna Gregory, my stepson Corcoran Holt. I can see that they're taking things seriously and they're humble and they're moving forward. So I just use three people, Ayanna Gregory, Corcoran Holt, Sam P.K. Collins give me hope, but the likes of young people like them. Oh, and Atia Lacey Ball, they give me big hope. Atia Lacey Ball is a vice principal of a school, and she just recently did a big program here. Ayanna Gregory, Dick Gregory's daughter. Brother Corcoran Holt is my stepson, internationally known upright bass player. And Sam P.K. Collins, one of the baddest journalists in Washington, D.C.
Now, what's your critique of the young activists?
Well, like I said, my critique is of them. They are taking us where we need to go. In terms of other young brothers and sisters, they need to get with likes of those examples I just put out there. So my critique is basically, I have hope in proper journalism coming from that, proper music coming from the source, entertainment, upliftment. I'm pleased. I'm very pleased with what I see coming from those brothers and sisters. But as I said, we need more of them. I hope that gave you what you were looking for.
I got you. Yes, sir. The first answer also answer is the second answer inverted.
Okay.
Okay. Now, all right. Now, Baba, what is one lesson that life taught you the hard way that you had to get? People tried to tell you did, and you had to figure this out the hard way.
Changing my diet. Changing my diet, bro. I would say that, but yeah, changing my diet, man. Working more, maintaining my physical health. Let's put it like that. That's part of changing my diet. I found that out the hard way because I'm now trying to. I used to do Tai Chi. I'm trying to catch back up with that now because I should have never let it slide. I'm paying for it on a physical, if that's understood.
I could, I can relate. I'm not even gonna get into my thing. I could relate to that. I could relate being somebody that was so physically fit, and then just But
Right.
okay, what's a belief you had when you were young, Baba, about politics, organizing, or whatever, that you no longer have at all right now?
Well, I thought I went to the March on Washington when I was 11 and a half. And I really loved Dr. King's speech. And truth be told, I thought we all could get along. But as I continued to study and look and move around the world, I found that not to be the case. I can't get along with Yurugu at all. I became race first. I want to do my thing. I'm not about loving someone just because they want to love up us, you know. So I guess moving more away from an integrationist mindset to a segregationist mindset. Was that good enough?
That's excellent. Absolutely. What is the best advice anyone ever gave you, and what was it, and who gave it to you?
Oh, I guess my mother, bro. The biggest advice she gave me said, always, no matter what, respect the black woman because that's where you come from. In other words, she was telling me no matter whether right, wrong, or indifferent, always respect the black woman. That lesson I've learned living it, going from having three daughters and beautiful mates all my life, and all of us are very close and tight. And that does not mean we always agreed on everything, but I learned how to respect them despite shortcomings. So I guess that's the biggest one. My mom taught me that, and she raised us on that kind of principle. She said, whether you get along or no longer get along, you never disrespect a black woman. And so many opportunities I had to be in a situation where I would disrespect a black woman, I would walk away from it. I think that was one of the best advice she ever gave me because I've so far, most of all the women in my life, I've never had that issue with where we never wanted to speak with each other, never wanted to be around. So I have a good relationship with black women in my life, even those who I was married for 25 years. Mother, I have a daughter outside of that marriage. So I have three daughters and those two sisters. And now I've been with a sister now, Kathy English Hope, my significant other, for 25 years again. And we all of us are friends and family, all of us still. So, I mean, and then I also have stepchildren. We all are friends and family. So I guess from that lesson, I was able to keep the peace despite all the differences and all the things going on. And everybody loves one another and their friends. So I think that's one of the biggest blessings that this black man has had in this life is to be able to be respected back by those black women and to be able to give respect to those black women, which has led me to respect other black women.
Mm. Yes, sir. That is powerful right there. I wish I heard that about 30 years ago. or should I say, I did hear it, but that I had internalized that. In terms of being self accountable, sometimes you can let emotion or pain get in the way
Oh,
of. So that's
absolutely.
difficult, but that's very important, Baba. Thank you for that.
And I don't I don't
Um.
want to I don't want to set myself apart from everybody. I just want to say also too, see, I had open heart surgery when I was
Mm,
14. When I was 14.
whoa.
So I had to learn whether or not I was going to live or not. I had to accept that reality. So I had a lot going on, and my mom was always there with me. So, I really paid attention. Even my mother transitioned in 2003. I talk to her every day. I'm right out here now with her right now at this altar. In fact, where I'm at right now, I don't know whether you can see it, all these ancestors. All these are ancestors that are up on the wall, bro.
Wow.
And so I kind of live amongst them because that's who we are. We come. See, one come from two, two come from four, four come from eight come from 16, 16 come from 32, 32 come from 64, et cetera, et cetera. So the further you go back, the more ancestral DNA you got. So you ain't got time to be playing around as an individual. You're responsible to all of those energies that came before you to carry out. And sometimes, as some people say, some of them might even return, if you hear what I'm saying.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Also, what is one habit that you think young activists, community organizers should develop as quickly as they can? One habit.
Respect for other institutions and organizations doing similar work. Very, very, very important. Respect, because you don't need in competing over the same, if you got the same objective, you should be able to work together, not compete. The competitive syndrome is a problem because we got a lot of duplications. We got a lot of people doing great work, but they're not working together. And yet you talk about unity, but you're not unifying. I mean, it's sort of hypocritical. You're all calling for unity, and then this group right here does the same thing, and y'all not unified around it. If you hear what I'm saying.
Yes, sir. And give us one funny, unforgettable moment from when you, let's say, in your younger activist days. Something that's really funny and that you can remember.
Wow.
So let me tell you this. Baba Carlito said he had, as you know, our great ancestor now, brother, who I knew initially as H. Rat Brown, passed. So he said that he's in the Young Lords, that this guy comes in with the shades. So he comes in real kind of bravado. He walks through their office, doesn't say anything to the people. So they hemmed him up through on the wall. They patting him down.
Yeah.
And he's laughing. They're like, what's this guy laughing? They're getting upset a little bit. He takes his glasses off. They're like, oh shit. A-Trap? It's like, yeah. And they're scared. They're like, uh-oh. Black Panthers, we don't want to have beef with the Black Panthers. We got love for them. He's like, nah, it's not. He said, man, I love the way you brothers. He's like, right on. As they're like jostling him around. He's like, no, right on, brothers. That's the way you do when somebody come up in your spot. And I thought that was kind of funny. So that was his thing.
I hear you. I'm trying to think of one, man. I've had a lot
funny
of
or shocking or something that happened that you never would have expected from a person that you don't mind obviously sharing with the public,
Right. I got to think on that one, man. You got me on that one. Let me see.
I got one. I'm gonna share with you.
Okay.
So Brother Khalid was a Jegna of mine, Brother Khalid Muhammad, rest in power.
Yes.
And I was walking up 125th. I don't know if you remember, there was a store there called Executive Fashions. It was very nice. You could get your suits designed and all this. So I'm walking by and I see him facing me, but he's in there getting fitted for a suit. And I wave. He's like, he waves me and I come in. I said, brother, how you been? I'm good. He stops, comes out. I said, hey, brother, what organization are you in? So I'm like, well, Brother Khalid, I helped start a school and we doing. He said, no. He said, brother, I didn't ask you what you did for a living. And he was very cutting with it. I didn't ask you what the job was, brother. I said, what organization are you in? So I'm like him and Han, He's like, nah, brother, you got all that information and skill. You're supposed to be starting an organization or in an organization. Next time I see you, I'm going to ask you that question, and you better be able to tell me you started an organization or you're in one. That was kind of, I thought it was kind of funny because he was so, it went from, hey, brother, nice to see you. How you been? And it was, very, you can be very cutting.
Yeah,
and that was funny to me.
yeah. Well, I've had a lot of situations that were very funny to me too, and I was just thinking while you were saying that. I guess one of the biggest things in the movement for me was when one of the brothers that trained me was a brother named William Henry Jackson Bay. And William Henry Jackson Bay was a very, very knowledgeable brother. He was, in fact, a division here in Washington is named after him. He's an ancestor now. And I had reached out. I was just trying to come in the movement. I had reached out. So I said, well, what are you doing, Jackson Bay? He said, oh, I'm just kind of hanging around. He said, I'm getting ready to go out. I said, you rolling around the city? I said, I'd like to roll around with you. He pulled up to my house. I came outside. I got in the car, and there was no dashboard in the car. Did you hear me?
What you mean you could look right through it and see like
I said,
the engine?
look, the dashboard was hanging down on the floor. And so I said, well, what's going on? He said, well, this is how I gotta start it. So he started it up and we started rolling. And we were driving with no dashboard. Now, can you imagine the dashboard sitting down in between almost where your feet are at, and you're driving down the road in that car? To me,
Yo.
that was not only funny because I was hollering, "Oh no, brother, take me back. I don't want to go any further." "Oh, I got you, I got you." So we pull over, and he said, "If this will make you feel any better." So he picked up the dashboard, pulled the steering wheel, put the dashboard in there, and pushed the steering wheel back in. Did you hear me? That's the funny part.
Whoa.
And so, in other words, it didn't have to drive with the dashboard hanging down there, but he could easily put the dashboard back. But to start it, he had to take the dashboard down and go up underneath of that and start it.
Almost like he had to hot wire it.
Exactly.
Huh, wow.
But anyway, that came to me because I was just looking at him, and I said, "That's a lot of funny moments I've had, but that was really funny for me because I was blown away, and I still wanted him to take me back home. I did not want to ride around in that car. You know what I mean? But it was funny to me of how in control he was of the vehicle. It was not a problem for him. I mean, it was just like a normal thing that he does.
Wow.
But anyway, that's one of them. There's so many other things I could probably think of, but that one came to me while you were,
Who would you say, Baba, was the most underrated or overlooked person, either in your local circle or in terms of national leadership, a person that you don't hear people say or talk about that you think deserves more of our respect?
Yeah. Uh, Bruh, Amy Just
She put
Scott.
together the philosophy and opinions, right? She compiled
Yeah,
all that.
yeah, but she did a lot more than that. First of
Mm.
all, a lot of people don't know she was an expert in law because she worked for a law office for a couple of years before she left Jamaica. She was an expert. She was very intelligent. She was a very organizer. In other words, she became not only the executive secretary and organizer and protector and compiler of all the major documentation of Marcus Garvey. And a lot is coming out now, but it's very important that she doesn't get the kind of propers. Some of the sisters who've done research on her think she's probably one of the most powerful African women of all time of the 20th century because of what she was able to do and maintain. At the same time, when he was incarcerated, she kept things going, bruh. I know people, my teachers, who had utmost respect for her because of some of the warnings that she gave us or some of the battles that went on. She raised two children, still went on to be a Pan Africanist, even years after Garvey transition. She doesn't get her propers. And she did, like you say, compile the works of Garvey and put them in a book and publish them. Not only the Philosophy and Opinions 1 and 2, but also 3. Then she wrote her own book which is super powerful, and Garvey and Garveyism. Then she also traveled with Garvey. So I would say without her, we might not know the real Marcus Garvey and the real works of the UNIA. So that's why I picked her. And I guess the next one would be Miss Estelle James, who was the President General who trained me's wife. So you see it go back to a black woman. I guess my mother really conditioned me well, but I got to say, the more I learn about Amy Jocks Garvey, she's underappreciated, brother.
Wow. Thank you for that, Baba. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is one thing that people misunderstand about activists, revolutionaries, community organizers? One thing that they misunderstand or don't get right about us.
We need love, tender love and care. We need support. We need funding. I mean, I say that because I know for a fact that a whole lot of great work can go on if you help. If the person doing great work has the kind of support that he needs, she needs in love, and not just love, but material too, physical, material support. That's important. So I think all major revolutionaries need a good working cadre around them. They need somebody that they can trust. They need to be able to be invited to do various different things that can help support the work that they're in. So that's what we need, support. I think a lot of brothers and sisters don't do the revolutionary work because of the lack of getting the kind of love, the kind of attention, the kind of credibility, and the kind of finances. I think we would have a whole lot more of brothers and sisters that would do the work, because most of it's done around not getting paid to do certain things, to being able to sacrifice and being able to do it without looking for pay. But at the same token, everybody needs support. And sometimes I think the people that mostly gain from the works of the revolutionaries don't like take out political prisoners for an example. I mean, political prisoners, most of them went to jail because they were doing something to support us. And then when they're in jail, who supports them? That's important. We can't forget about our political prisoners, because that's why they call political prisoners, because they were actually standing up for our rights, and they end up getting locked up and jammed, and many accused for something they didn't do. Marcus Garvey was one of them. Matula Shakur Dinga. We could go down the line. There's so many. Mumi Abu Jamal. So many.
Sure. H. Rap Brown.
Yeah, certainly. H. Rap
And that
Brown.
medical neglect. I saw the picture of
Yes.
his. It looked like he had a bowling ball
Yeah, man.
in his
Well,
his cheek.
Well, brother Bilal Sunni Ali used to keep me abreast. He's consistently, he's an ancestor now too, but he was consistently fighting for Imam Jamil Alameen, H-Rap Brown. And he used to keep me abreast. And he told me about how severe his health, how terrible his health was over the last 3 or 4 years or so. Same with Mumia. Mumia's health is not good. Matula's health was not good. He came out, and brother Kokiah Patterson, good, who I call my spiritual twin brother, who's here in DC, of AGYEI, the African Holistic Health Association, who does acupuncture. I call him the greatest stick-up man around, because he's carrying on the works of Matula Shakur himself. But he helped work with Matula when he came out. And it's amazing. Matula did well for a while, but after all of what he went through in the years that he was incarcerated, it caught up with him, It's sad, man. 30 years or more, come on, man. We got brothers and they never changed. See, that's the other thing. They never, they never, they continued to work and do whatever they could for us. That's serious commitment, man. Because you and I in prison out here, you know what I mean? In a certain way, but they were in lockdown. And so, we never can forget George Jackson and our brothers and sisters, that been in lockdown, man. It's a serious thing.
Baba, what advice, warning, or caution would you give the brothers and sisters activists in your generation that are around your age group to say, hey, be careful now, or something you would tell them that maybe you think they need to learn and pay attention to?
Yeah, I think a lot of the brothers and sisters in the movement today have to become more patient and more tolerant of certain things going on. I mean, they can't I a long time ago, I don't believe in marching in the street and doing all those kind of demonstrations, man. And any of our brothers and sisters that do that, I think that's a waste of energy and time right now. I think that we should not be doing that kind of thing. And so, but yeah, just be patient and study and work to align yourself with others. It's important. Uh, you gotta close ranks. You can't be out there by yourself. You gotta close ranks. Somebody out there gotta know what you're doing, know how you're moving, know how to communicate with you, and look for the brotherhoods. And I'm so happy that my brother and I are in a brotherhood because we can talk to each other and we got problems sometimes. That's a blessing to be able to talk to brothers from all around the world, you know, doing different similar work.
I'm going to pat us on the back. You mentioned that we should have our own project 2025, and we talked about that a year ago.
Yes.
We actually outlined these are some things we need to do. We need don't get your panties in a bunch and your drawers all wet. Stand up, get your spine straight. Let's strategize and organize.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the good thing about that too, bro, is like I told you, we put that vibe out there, but it manifested because some of the brothers that are in Chikala Kamunga were all at this race first convention that was held. It was called by the PLM, the Pan African Liberation Movement. And I'm very, very, very elated. Bro, this is some of the best things that's happened in 75 or some odd years for us, man.
Mm.
That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to have the effect of what you just said. It's a plan, because what's getting ready to come out of that is a declaration, some principles, and some resolutions. And we all people that want to join and make this happen have an opportunity of looking at this thing, seeing where we are and where we aren't and what we need to do. That's a black print. You follow me? So
Mm-hmm.
to me, that's powerful. And it came from what you said, because the same thinking, we were putting a vibe out there, but it's other brothers like us and sisters that's on that same frequency that caused this to manifest. That's what I'm saying. And so we gotta put it out there, man. And I'm a firm believer, until you put it out there and nurture it, it ain't gonna manifest. But you gotta think about it first, organize around it, and make it happen. And to me, that's what Chika Lakamunga represents to me. you
Mm-hmm.
know
Mm-hmm.
that's just
Now,
one out of many, because there's other groups out there too. I don't want to slight nobody else.
yes, sir. Now, as we come to a close, Baba, I want to know, you've done a lot of work. You've been involved with people who've done a lot of work. You've given some great insight for me and for those who will watch the different slices of this interview and the whole interview at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, the activists and organizers, the educators that I respect, that I admire, I try to emulate in some ways. I'm always curious to know what fires burning, what's motivating them to get up early, go to bed late, keep studying no matter how old they are, work things out, try to be patient. I want to know, what is Baba Senghor Baye's, how does Baba Senghor Baye want to be remembered? What is what do you want your legacy to be, or what do you think your legacy is to the movement?
Well, I would like people to say he contributed all of his blacktricity that he could possibly contribute toward passing it on to the next generation, so that they could not make some of the same mistakes that his ancestors and that he made, and that they could move smoothly into a direction that will cause sovereignty for them and their families to come. That's pretty
That's
much
what's
what I
up.
would say. Yeah.
Well, Baba, listen, I want to thank you, man, for your time, for sharing, your story, some of your wisdom, some of your humor. That's a thing I don't think a lot of people know. All the people I know that's hardcore activists and organizers are amongst the funniest people I ever met. They They're really funny.
Garvey and Malcolm were very, very funny.
Yeah, they're not these kind of, you
Yes,
know,
exactly. Ordinary.
statues. Like they do what they got to do in public, but they're very funny. I guess you would have to be to keep your spirit, during a very, I guess, troublesome times. So I appreciate your humor too.
Well, let me just say this real quick. You're right. Many of us are angry black men. And an angry black man must be able to contain that anger and channel it, or that anger will cause him to explode. That's a teaching that came from one of the elders before me. He said, it's okay to be angry, but if you can't channel that anger into something concrete and positive, you better let it go, because that same anger will burn in you. And if you don't take it out on somebody, you're going to take it out on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of important. I just throw that out there because that's a part of learning how to develop self-development. Because there's nothing wrong with being angry. I'm angry about all the children that's being abused, children that's being still transported all around the world. I mean, it's a lot going on that would anger you, but you got to be able to put that anger into some kind of channel where you can control it, and the anger don't control you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's absolutely right. And I heard this term, to be able to transmute your anger, your fear, all that into work, into work that gives you a sense of fulfillment and that helps people. Yeah. So, were there any last things you wanted to say, Barbara, that none of my questions really kind of gave you the opportunity to say that you feel you need to say at this point?
Yeah, I want to just appreciate you and what you're doing, man, because I think that's really critical that we talk with each other and for others. Because the more we communicate, the more we can learn from one another and the more we can share with one another. And however you break this up, it's going to be positive because, and I know I jumped around, so I appreciate you allowing me to jump around because I joke with people, but I'm that kind of hype. I'm a hyper person. I'm not afraid to say that I'm a hyper black man.
Yes, sir. Those are the ones that's getting it done. You got to have a fire under your butt to get out here and get it done. Yeah.
Yeah, blacktricity. So,
Yes,
but
sir.
yeah, I really appreciate the work you're doing, though, man, and do because I also know that it's a lot of us still learning and coming into contact with one another that are doing great work, and I think it's more of us than we can realize around the world that have come to a point where we're on the same level, and so I really appreciate you doing it because it takes energy to do what you're doing, man. And I'm gonna be straight up with you, man. I ain't no technical person, man. I have issues. I had to run to my tech man to help me to do stuff, man. Right now, I'm on my iPad. I'm not even on my computer because I don't got StreamYard on my computer. I got it on my iPad. But anyway, the point I'm making, though, is just, everybody has a task. And if you know your calling, do it to the fullest because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. And I mean, every morning when I wake up, I breathe. I say, thank you to Most High. Thank you, Most High, for bringing me back in this world, even though the world is still effed up, if you know what I mean.
Yes,
Thank you for bringing me back in it, to kick a little bit more,
Yes.
All
Well,
right,
thank
bro.
you for the compliment, Barbara.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
inspired by people like you and the ancestors. It wakes me up every morning. I think about my mom, my dad, my grandparents, the different people I looked up to, and I'm like, that pour, you think about the people that poured into you, that saw something in you when you was, let's say, a knucklehead, and they pouring. You're like, why are they telling me all this stuff? Right? Taking you here, taking you there. What they keep? And then you get it. It clicks.
Yeah,
And so yeah, you feel like people put time into me and energy. I gotta use that. Yeah. So I feel that. Thank you.
Black power, man. Black
Black
power.
power.
Black
Peace.
power. Peace.